Hey, I'm Dr. Bill Dorfman. This is our second Mentor Weekly live session, and I'm really excited. We have Ginger Zumaeta here. She is a graduate of Notre Dame. She went to USC and got her MBA. She worked at NBC as a VP in advertising and promotions. She's a 3-time Emmy Award winner. And now she does marketing and strategy for all kinds of businesses, from startups to Fortune 500s, in her own group, which is called the Zumaeta Group. And they can find you how?
Either at Zumaeta Group on Twitter, Facebook/Zumaeta Group, or zumaetagroup.com.
And I always believe in practicing what I preach, so I'm going to take all of these phones. We're actually doing Facebook Live in 4 different places: on my fan page, on my personal page, on the Leap page, and on Mark Black's page. But I'm going to have everybody flip the cameras around because I want you to see what we're doing. We've been working with Ginger. This is our second week of working with her, and we basically have a huge whiteboard. I'll actually do this camera. We have this huge whiteboard with her whole team here. This is Jane, and we're sitting here strategizing for Leap, and we set up our own little studio here. So we're making this very official for everybody, and here we go. So let me put this one down. If you have questions while we're talking, please feel free to send them in. I have somebody in the back there that will be writing them out and giving them to us. But that being said, let's start from the beginning. So Ginger, what excites you about marketing?
I'd have to say, first of all, thanks for having me. And I think one of the most exciting things about marketing today is that it used to be in traditional marketing that you put your message out there and you hoped it was hitting somebody and you never had any feedback. With digital, everything is different. First, they talk back. So you've got to be really good in terms of what you're saying to make sure that your audience is actually receiving it in the right way, because you will get response. But the other thing I think that's even more important is the ability to do even granular targeting in marketing in the digital field is it's really a revelation. You can start to understand how people are behaving differently online and then target them very specifically with your message. So digital is a massive game changer.
Now, how did you personally transition from getting an MBA, working at NBC, and then going into your own kind of business?
Well, it's an interesting story. It wasn't one that I was necessarily ready for. When I worked at NBC, we were sort of at the top of our game. I worked at stations across the country, and we used to call them like ATMs. They were like cash machines. And then the recession happened, and television advertising went down the tubes. I managed a very large creative team, and the simple reality is I had to lay off my entire group, and then was laid off myself. So then I was at a fork in the road. I was lucky enough to get called by the head of ABC the very next day to see if I wanted to potentially go there. But I took the time to think about, is this really what I want to continue doing, or is it time for me to start my own thing? And I made the decision to start my own business.
So you're also a 3-time Emmy Award winner. What did you win an Emmy in?
So a lot of people don't know that Emmys are not only for full-length television shows. You can get Emmys for television campaigns. And having worked at NBC and Telemundo simultaneously, we developed a series of television campaigns, one around the Olympics, one around actually community service. Firefighters here in Los Angeles had done an overwhelming job when there were some major fires kind of creeping in on Los Angeles. So a number of marketing campaigns that I did won Emmys.
Wow, that's exciting. So I know that communication studies is a very popular field, and a lot of people, a lot of students out there would be interested in, how do you get started? It's so competitive. And what should they be doing now? I mean, should they be doing internships? How do they find internships? What are some things that they could do to kind of help them right now?
Sure. So I think the foundations that anyone can do that wants to get into communications is start out reading a lot and writing a lot. I mean, those really help you with language. They help you as communicators in general, and anyone can do that. I think as you start to, you know, kind of get further into it, starting a blog or starting a video series, and really there's no reason that anyone can't start being a journalist and being a communicator now. That way when you get to the point that you want to start a job, you've got a portfolio, you can start to pass that on. Other than that, I'd say one of my biggest pieces of advice to people that I mentor is pick the industry that you want to be in and take the lowest job or whatever job you can get into and start in the right place. Most people don't realize that the industry that you start in is usually the industry you're going to retire in, because momentum happens and that becomes what you know. So don't take that other job just because it sounds like you're going to have a better position or more pay, but it's getting you further away from the industry you want to be in. So get close to where you want to be and work your way up from the top. That's what I did.
Great. Give me an idea of some of the kinds of companies that you're working with today, and maybe just a brief description of what exactly your team has developed for them.
Sure. So one of my biggest clients is a huge healthcare company, Kaiser Permanente. I not only helped architect their Latino brand called Viva Bien, so we built an entire website, build merchandise, I mean, build a lot of way of packaging that, getting ready for the Affordable Care Act, reaching out to Hispanics. But more recently, one of the things that I've done for them is built out their entire maternity marketing. So we built a huge website for them. We built all of their social plans, their PR and communication plans, and merchandise, etc. So we really packaged that up. That's really on the big side when we do very big work that involves hundreds of people and partner agencies. You know, I think going all the way to the other side, we've got another client that is a startup. They've got a very small budget. They've got an app that helps DFS, which I didn't used to know what that meant, but it means daily fantasy sports players get better at their craft and win more money. They had a great product, but they didn't really know how to take it to market. How do you communicate this complex product to the right audience? So we helped them first understand who are they for, how do we develop messaging for them, and we did a lot of Facebook testing to get the messaging right and start to pull the audience in.
That's great. We have a question. So if one of the students out here watching wants to actually do an internship with you, how do they get in touch with you, and what do they need to do, and when do you actually take interns, and how many do you take?
First of all, I love interns. I've taught actually over the years and get a lot of former students. So you can contact me at ginger@zumaetagroup.com. Zumaeta is spelled Z-U-M-A-E-T-A, Zumaeta, if any of you speak Spanish, zumaetagroup.com. And I'd love to hear from you. What I would urge you to do is tell me why you want the internship, and tell me what you actually plan to do with your life. Because I'll know how I can help if I know where you're trying to get.
Personally, who are some of your biggest mentors?
Gosh, you know, I've been very lucky to have some great bosses along the ways. My parents, obviously, my mother, amazing mentor. She worked her butt off while she was taking care of us, as did my dad. But I think what I had, and I was really lucky, is a lot of the people that I worked for understood that I have a little bit of a restless nature. So they allowed me to get the work done that I had to get done, but then gave me a very long leash to innovate and do other things. And those were my best mentors. I think, you know, another great boss that I had asked me one of the most difficult questions I've probably ever heard, and it also changed my way of thinking myself. He asked me one time, you know, how smart do you think you are? I said, I'm pretty smart, you know, and he said, so compared to your peers, and these were other vice presidents, right, of which I was the youngest, you know, who do you think is smartest? And I said, I think I am. And he asked, do you think that they know that you think you're the smartest? And that question absolutely crushed me. I mean, it made me realize that I had been a little too arrogant, a little bit lacking in the soft skills, even though I had the capability. My delivery was not finessed at all. And it changed the trajectory of my career, because I started really kind of working on how do I get the soft skills to present correctly, and that's what leadership is.
All right, we have a question. What's the best way to learn about marketing?
So there's there's no reason anybody can't learn about marketing. One great way is follow our Facebook and our Twitter, because we're producing articles all the time all about marketing, and really do a step-by-step in terms of, like, here's how you start at the very beginning and here's where you get the process. But I'd say the easiest thing is follow some really good marketing blogs. You know, there's a lot of them out there. Follow them, read them daily, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can be an expert. Go into Facebook and Google teach classes online for free. So, you know, put some muscle behind figuring things out, and you can get it pretty quickly.
You know, in wake of last night's political results,
Yes.
It's kind of crazy because, I mean, politics is marketing. I mean, you're basically marketing yourself as a politician.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems, and the consensus is, that Trump literally broke every rule and won.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Well, I think a lot of people are trying to answer that question today. And I think, you know, what happened is, first of all, I think Trump is a brilliant marketer. I think he knew exactly what he needed to do to upset the apple cart enough, and he went way beyond what a safe marketing plan would do. And so part of my takeaway from this is, and for everybody in marketing, is you have to stick your neck out to get a reward. The way you do that
Great
should be
point.
in keeping with your brand, right?
Which he did.
But being kind of in the middle doesn't get the attention needed to move people's behavior. And at the end of the day, what he did a great job at doing was getting people incited enough that they behaved and showed up.
See, so that's a great point. You know, whether you like him or you don't like him, you know, it's funny because as I was watching through the evening, a lot of the, you know, commentators, and especially those that you knew obviously did not like him, started saying, you know, but you gotta kind of give him credit for building awareness, building a brand, getting out a message. I mean, the message was make America great again. I have no idea how we're gonna do it. That wasn't the message. The message was make America great.
Right.
And in marketing, in advertising, the message is the most important thing, right?
Absolutely. I mean, what that demonstrates is, first of all, he did a good job at striking an emotional chord, right? And you have to do that. So figuring out a message that really strikes an emotional chord with your target audience, which is exactly what he did. It was textbook, is the thing that's going to get people to start behaving differently.
Of all the marketing campaigns you've done, what was your absolute favorite? Like, if you had to say, I'm so proud of that one, what was it, and how did it work?
You know, actually, one of my favorite marketing campaigns that I did was back when I was working for NBC in Philadelphia. We had a limited budget to try to do a Hail Mary pass of a miracle. And we were trying to figure out what could we do to win the ratings, and we hadn't won the ratings in Philadelphia in over 30 years. And we actually came up with a direct mail campaign, which anyone in television would tell you direct mail is the worst possible way to try to deliver a rating. But we had these punchy messages about things that you could do with uncommon products. For example, did you know you can clean your toilet bowl with a can of Coca-Cola? And we said that we were going to have all of these other secrets on a given night. And we delivered, shockingly, near Super Bowl ratings for these two stories that we did. And we pulled a rabbit out of the hat, and it was an amazing thing.
That's great. When my partner and I owned Discus Dental, it became one of the largest tooth whitening companies in the world. And dentistry is a very, very conservative market. And you know, the advertising, the things used in dentistry is very conservative. Our first product before we did Zoom and Bright Smile and all that was a product called Night Wipe. And it basically, you know, you had the trays and you put the goop in and you sleep at night. And so we actually did a campaign, Great in Bed, which was edgy enough to get people's attention, but not so edgy that dentists were offended. And we literally like hit the jackpot with that one.
That's great.
So you got to put your neck out there sometimes.
Absolutely.
So if you had to pick what's more important, would you say marketing? I think I know the answer, but would you say marketing is more important or having a good product is more important?
That's kind of chicken and the egg.
Right. It's the sizzle on the steak.
Right. It is the sizzle on the steak. So the reality is that you have to have both, because you can absolutely have. We're about to see some of it play out in America right now.
Exactly.
You can have great marketing, but if you don't have the product to back it up over time, your business is going to fail. You know, business success over the long haul requires two things: innovation and marketing. Innovation is the product, right? Innovation means doing something that makes your product deliver more value than anything else. Now you can have that, but if nobody knows about it, you're dead in the water. So all of the rest, after you have a product, everything else is marketing. Things like finance and operations, all that stuff, that's all behind the scenes, behind the line, and they all service getting more customers. So I'm not going to pick, but they're both really important.
Well, the other thing too that you have to remember is in the age that we live in, you can market like crazy. You can get a lot of attention, but if you have a crappy product, you're dead. Because as soon as the reviews start coming out, people will just panic. And a lot of people today don't even buy things until they read the reviews. So you really need both.
And you know, to that point, the problem with that is if you do a great marketing campaign and you deliver to a crappy product, you're never going to see that customer again. They're gone forever. You cannot win those folks back. So you have to start out with a great product as well.
I think another thing that's happening today that's really new in the world, relatively, is being so creative that you actually get things to go viral. You know, coming up with different campaigns like the ice bucket and things like that, which really don't cost anything.
Right.
But you can get so much awareness for cheap. One of my favorite campaigns, and this is one that happened 10 years ago, was Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Taco Bell decided that they would put a huge floating taco in the Pacific Ocean. And if any part of the space shuttle fell on it, you would win like $100 million or something crazy like that, which the chances of it happening were almost zero, but the amount of advertising that they got from it was priceless.
Yeah, I mean, I think having those great ideas and sometimes working with constraints creates the most creative environment. You know, so sometimes when you say, what we've got to do is try to get 1,000 customers with $1,000. It's going to click you into a different type of thinking, a scrappy type of thinking, but it's definitely going to get you into a more creative mode to try to figure out how to solve that problem.
All right, so just to wrap it up, if you had to give like a 30-second pitch on why somebody should choose marketing as a profession, go.
Well, listen, marketing is hands down the most fun job that there is, because you not only get to do some analytics stuff, but you get to do some really crazy creative things. I've met some of the coolest people in the business, and probably the best part is you get to kind of like puppet master millions of people in marketing. You know, you really get to talk to millions and try to make them do the things that you need them to do.
Great. Ginger, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
If you want to get in touch with Ginger or her company, go to
Zumaetagroup.com.
Zumaetagroup.com. Next week, same time, same place, we're going to bring in one of our LEAP mentors, Tien Mu. He has his own company called Naked Sky, and they do digital games. Dr.